Pacifica, a region of Night City designed to be a holiday paradise, a seaside resort complete with a working roller coaster where millions flock to every summer. Sadly, these plans for the district were never fully implemented. Much of Pacifica remained incomplete, and the city grew into a metropolis of lost potential. Ironically, when the developers came to build it into a playable region of the game, they also wound up turning it into a place of lost potential. It is easily the most undeveloped part of Night City, with a ridiculously small number of side jobs and a barely developed fixer contact who offers just one gig. Sure, there's a pretty sick part of the main story set here, as well as a fair amount of scanner hustles, but comparatively to everywhere else, prior to Phantom Liberty at least, Pacifica is just very lacking. As a result, this entry of the gig series is going to be very short but sweet, looking into the hidden secrets and tiny details surrounding said singular gig, as well as our particularly elusive fixer, Mr. Hands. Huge thanks to my patrons as always for supporting these videos, and now let's get to it. For Pacifica's singular gig, you'd kinda think it would be one of the more detailed ones in the game. Multiple stages brimming with details and perhaps a range of different outcomes. Otherwise, what's the point of having just one? You might as well leave Pacifica blank and have the full lack of gigs as a talking point, than leave this bizarre outlier which hints to a greater whole, but ultimately just draws attention to the sheer level of cut content hiding away here. Look, I'm really hoping, and I'm fairly confident, that Phantom Liberty will in fact repopulate Pacifica with all of the missing gigs. I just think it's a bizarre decision that they left in one, despite the rest clearly not being near finished enough to release. Anywho, this one's a classic stealing from thieves scenario. The animals have stolen a van full of lidocaine from Maelstrom. Now, lidocaine is a skin-numbing anesthetic which Maelstrom use in initiation ceremonies for reasons which I'm sure you can figure out, whilst the animals mix it into cocktails for a more generalized negation of pain. It's valuable to both gangs and is in pretty high demand. In fact, another instance we saw of this stuff being mentioned by the animals was back in the Shark in Water gig in Kabuki. Suffice to say, both the animals and Maelstrom want as much of this however and wherever they can get it. So our job is simple: steal the van, sell the lidocaine on again so it can be sold back to the animals and Maelstrom at market price. Both gangs still get their lidocaine, but we get cut into the profits. So head down into this unfinished building site, which acts as a microcosm for Pacifica itself, sneak past or systematically eliminate the animal gang members, steal the van, and get the hell out of there. Mr. Hands will congratulate us on a job well done, say he's holding onto our number, and never call us again in the vanilla game. Feels kinda like we've hit a dead end the second we've crossed the starting line, right? Disappointing, I know, so let's hope Phantom Liberty can at least somewhat fix this. Otherwise, let's go back to find the hidden details, alluding to even more cut content. So first up, we've got this terminal here containing a convo between the animals Hyacinth and Blind Rudy. Looks like the animals have already cooked up this stuff into their special cocktail, or at any rate will be doing so very soon. Presumably it's the latter, as I imagine selling the animal's own unique cocktail back to them, which had obviously been stolen, wouldn't go down too well or be a wise marketing strategy. Then in the files section, something from Sasquatch entitling the upcoming work the animals will be taking part in across Night City, and within this are a few notable names. First up is mention of Monica Steiner, who actually comes up in relation to another animals-based gig in Santo Domingo named For My Son. We'll cover that more when we reach the Santo Domingo video, but basically, her son Lenny was killed in the ring by a member of the animals. She then hired us to get revenge, after which the animals took revenge on her, and we have the whole eye for an eye, blind world thing. This mention of her asking the nomads for help can actually be followed up on down in Westwind Estate, where she'd enlisted the help of one Nina Chilo, who she was meeting under this bridge to be smuggled out of Night City and away from the animals. Sadly, Monica was tailed, and the animals under here not only ended her life, but seemingly a whole handful of other innocent people to pass along at simply the wrong time. Guess the one final act of revenge then falls to us. Oh, but the breadcrumb trail doesn't end there. No, we can follow it a little bit further and also discover the fate of Nina Chilo, who was just mentioned, a bit further north outside the combat zone. Nina ran scavenging jobs in and out of here, but sadly was shot on this occasion by henchmen of a so-called general, someone whom no doubt will be facing when the combat zone becomes available in Phantom Liberty. But who did Nina turn to for help in her dying moments? Well, none other than another familiar face, Lucy Thackeray from the Hippocratic Oath gig back up in Northside. You see, I love finding details like this because it makes you realize that CDPR did go to quite a lot of effort to connect everything up, dig deep, and it turns out that everything is connected. Oh, and whilst we're on the topic of Lucy, I should mention, because I missed this in the Northside video, she doesn't leave Night City after we save her from Maelstrom, but rather can be found under another name at the Ripperdoc Clinic of Rancho Coronado. Turns out we do see that slightly annoying, self-righteous woman again. Now, that was quite a rabbit hole that we just jumped down, so let's return now to the terminal of upcoming animal work from the gig at hand. Guerriera is another name mentioned and refers to a boxer who's advertised in a fight against one Martha Abomination Ling. For whatever reason now though, Sasquatch wants to do away with Guerriera, and I feel like this may very well have been part of a cut gig at some point. Finally, on a second terminal is mention of a prominent Maelstrom gang member whom we never meet, named Brandon Frost. The animals want him alive after he scrolled an XBD of burying several of them in concrete a few years back, saying he's finally crawled out of his rock and they're off to hunt him down. Again, feels like a cut gig, especially when we look at the fact that the World of Cyberpunk 2077 book mentions Brandon specifically alongside Brick, Royce, and Dum Dum. Honestly, at this point there's been no indication as to more Maelstrom-based stuff in Phantom Liberty, but then again, with the animals involved in this too, there could very well be a chance, just a chance, that we could stumble across this feud in the DLC. Now, that's everything from the gig delved into, but since there was only one in this video, I figured let's do a brief dive into Night City's most elusive fixer as well. Mr. Hands was once a corpo who worked for Petrochem, and according to his database entry, was known as Wade Bleeker. But, as is common in the corpo world, Wade was eventually stabbed in the back to suit somebody else's agenda. Fortunately for him, he survived the ordeal and decided to become someone and something else. Bleeker got a new face and name, but that wasn't enough. He talks only with his contacts through the phone, and even then obscures himself in a shroud of mystery, though the corpo demeanor is still fairly obvious. His goal now then is to secure enough eddies to get himself set up for life somewhere far, far away from Night City. Except once again, it feels like there was a lot more to this character before some ginormous Pacifica cuts were made. And yes, it's clear the guy has also been fully modeled, because I called him up one time only to be greeted like this.
When do we meet? Face to face?
Never! I don't got a name, don't got a face. To you, I'm Mr. Hands, guy on the phone. Take it or fuck off.
So yeah, I like the whole different, mysterious front that this guy has compared to the others, but here's to hoping for a bit more character expansion in Phantom Liberty. After all, he has just as much personality as the others, just way less screen time. I could dive more into the mysteries surrounding Mr. Hands, but honestly, Phantom Liberty is so close at this point, we might as well wait until then in the event that there's a ton of further expansion, which I really hope there is. So comment below your thoughts, hopes, and dreams as to how Phantom Liberty can expand on the shallowest region of Night City, and I'll be back soon with another of these videos covering one of the more fleshed out regions. Don't forget to like the video before you go, and do check out the Patreon if you want to get your name in every one of my videos like these awesome people on screen now. Thanks so much for watching, I'm Sam Brown, and I'll see you soon in another video.